Hey guys, welcome back to the Film Grinders podcast. I'm your host, Nicholas Hauka, here with David Hollinshead. Sorry for the delayed episode. As Akon once said, put the blame on me. I was on a vacation. Ill timing, you could say. I was able to watch both championship games. It was difficult with the view of a beautiful beach in my peripheral as I watched, especially that disgusting snow-filled game in Denver, Dave. But you must have been very happy with the result of that one, and then you were treated to a wonderful game between the Rams and Seahawks when the Seahawks, of course, eventually prevail. What did you think of conference championship weekend?
Yeah, I mean, that pretty much sums it up. I think the Broncos Patriots game was a snooze fest. I think that I wasn't completely wrong. I thought Jarrett Stidham looked as good as you could have predicted him to in such terrible circumstances. But happy my Pats are moving on. And then, of course, we knew the Seattle game was going to be fun to watch from beginning to end, and it absolutely was. And I think we're in for an interesting treat in this Super Bowl rematch.
I would agree, and we'll preview that a little bit later in the show. And I don't want to spend too much time on those games, Dave, because very much old news at this point. But a couple of things to bring up that are interesting points here. A lot of backlash after that Broncos game, where, to be honest, Dave, I don't think I can remember a time where the playing surface was perfectly normal in the first half, and then in the second half, all of a sudden, there's just a downpour of snow. And almost blizzard like conditions, and the second half was essentially ruined in that. A lot of talk about this. I want to get your opinion on it, and we've kind of brushed on it before, but let's maybe get a little more in depth. Should teams that have extreme weather conditions as a possibility be mandated to have a roof, especially during playoff time, uh, barring what just happened? What do you think about that?
I think unless you're in the southern states, I think you should absolutely have a roof. And that's just for fan comfort. I think it just, call me soft or whatever, I think it just elevates the play quality. We don't get games like this, in Minnesota because, there's a fucking roof. And it just puts teams on an even field. Ball don't lie. You don't have to go through bullshit game plans and pound the rock and hope that just nobody turns the ball over. You get to watch two teams at their best, play at their best, using the game plan, and acts of God don't count as much. But I feel like I'm probably in the
Yeah.
minority, and some boomer's going to yell at me on the Twitter sphere.
Honestly, after that game, I'd say it was pretty split from what I saw. I'm kind of conflicted with it personally because I think there has been a lot of really good extreme weather games. Um, Usually snow games in Buffalo. There was the regular season game last year that was actually fast paced, somewhat high scoring. Josh Allen made that crazy play. Um, so I think there's some give and take, but with a game like that, you don't want to see that in a conference championship game. The quality of play was so low in the second half. It was borderline unwatchable on the second biggest stage in all of football. You're one game away from the Super Bowl, and your fans are very much disappointed in that. So, yeah, like I'm really conflicted on it. I think I like a good weather game, but when it affects the quality of play to that much of a degree, I don't want to see it, right? So, I'm very conflicted with that. I think it's really tough to kind of find the balance of having a good weather game and also losing the quality of play like that.
Mm-hmm. And I think that, like, with those legendary snow games, legendary bad weather games, they're only legendary because they were good despite the bad weather. Like, those are the outliers, right? Those games would still be interesting. The Buffalo game would still have happened that way in a good weather stadium, but because it was in a, big snow game, the Adam Vinatieri kick in the snowplow game, yada yada, it's because it was snow. We can still get those games, right? Like, the only legendary part is because of the weather, and I think that's just something we can live without if it means that 75% of the other bad weather games are up in quality.
That is fair. That is fair. Well, Dave, there's some coaches that are going to be experiencing new weather conditions in their new spots. So we'll get to some weekly headlines. We missed a couple of hires, so we'll get to them and what we think about those. We will start with I actually think is a really good hire here in Jesse Minter. Jesse Minter being hired by the Baltimore Ravens, former Los Angeles Chargers defensive coordinator, comes from the Mike Macdonald tree. We've seen what Macdonald does defensively as his Seahawks are Super Bowl bound, as we all know. I thought Minter has done a really good job with an aging team in with the Chargers, very similar to what McDonald does. He kind of has his own spin on things. I've always liked him as a play caller on the defensive side of the ball. Good design, um, somewhat complicated with what they do, but the players are always on the same page. You don't see a lot of busts. I think he's creative. Now, here's a guy that doesn't have a lot of NFL coaching experience. He was the college DC. He's only had a couple years, Dave. Do you think he'll be able to thrive in this role?
It's a tough ask, honestly. We're seeing, especially in this coaching cycle, a lot of guys get hired that, there are some guys who get hired that are, way long in the tooth, and you're just trying to play the safe role. This is kind of one of the gambles of a guy who doesn't have a lot of experience, and we'll see. And I don't see a lot of these guys succeeding in these head coaching roles. I think a little bit he's just kind of the middle child, the Harbaugh middle child, coming up and just replacing his dad. The star child went on to Seattle, and the Harbaugh, Minter's worked under both Harbaughs, which I think is really funny. But it just feels like he's kind of Harbaugh Jr., and we're just kind of recycling that. Maybe he's a little more updated with what he does, but I think it's just kicking the same can down the road under a different name, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and he does not have any head coaching experience at the collegiate or NFL level, so this will be his first time. I'll push back a little bit. I would rather a guy like this get hired than someone who you've seen fail multiple times
Oh,
before. I think
totally.
it's good to give new blood a chance. So I'm not critical of this hire at all. I hope he figures it out. And defensive coaches, you can say what you can about game management and cowardly punts, etc., etc. Pete Carroll, um, but typically, as leaders, defensive coaches are pretty good. They're not just the innovative play designer. They have a good command of the room typically because a lot about playing defense is playing with an attitude, playing with a swagger, and getting your guys to give it all they can and be selfless along the way. So I think this could work. I think at worst, he's an average head coach who's an excellent play caller, always has a stellar defense. And if they can figure offense out, I don't think it's a bad thing. Obviously, new offensive coordinator, Declan Doyle, see if they can get Lamar going again. I'm going to give this higher, Dave. I'm going to say C plus, B minus. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd say C plus. I think the only thing that I'm just trying to say is that it just feels like you're going from Harbaugh to a new Harbaugh, and you're just doing the same thing. I don't know too much about Declan Doyle or whatever, but I think you're just moving from one Harbaugh to the next baby Harbaugh. So if you weren't happy with Harbaugh, why'd you go get another Harbaugh? But I'm not mad about the hire either. C plus seems like a fine grade for me.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll stay in the division, Dave. Pittsburgh Steelers. Hiring Mike McCarthy. Dave, you messaged me when this happened saying, dude, what the fuck is going on in Pittsburgh? Um, I think I have made my feelings very clear on Mike McCarthy. I think he is one of the core reasons. I do think roster building played an aspect of this too, but I think his game management was the biggest reason the Packers lost that 2014 game in Seattle. You have the best quarterback in the league, arguably, at that point, and you decide to, with a little bit of a lead, to run the ball on first and second down on 3 consecutive drives and then force third and long throws. You end up having to punt the ball. Seattle makes that comeback. And I really thought McCarthy failed to elevate his team after that Super Bowl win and has done so over and over again in his different stops since then. In Dallas as well, I didn't think he did a great job. You go from Mike Tomlin to Mike McCarthy. And I know it's a feel good story, Mike McCarthy from the Pittsburgh area and everything, but I am not overly fond of this hire, Dave. What are your feelings about this one?
I think if we were hiring Mike McCarthy 20 some ish years ago, this is a great hire. Boy, way to bring the West Coast offense into the 2010s. But we're in 2026 now, and his offense has not been relevant. We've seen all of the people out of his little tree start to falter and fail. I think his offense is boring. I think that if you, as a Pittsburgh fan, are hoping for a coach that'll elevate you past the 9-8 seasons, I think Mike McCarthy is going to keep you right there with arguably worse talent than he had in Dallas, and in Green Bay. Well, I don't think this moves you up at all. For a franchise that's been so like, we're going to pick our head coach and keep them for the next 50 years, this guy isn't it. He's 62 already, and if you have him for another 15 years, I think they're just going to be a sad sack of a franchise. And I think we're going to see them decline steadily over the next 3 to 4 years. I don't like it.
Yeah, he's another. Yeah, he's another coach that kind of falls victim, Dave, to the thing we say where coaches fail to adapt. Something works for them very well for years, and then it stops working, and they just kind of bang their head against the wall and go, "Oh, no, 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 we'll get back to where we were before." I think his offense is a core example of that. It was very good in the early 2000s. I think Aaron Rodgers made it look good in the 2010s, even though schematically probably not overly advanced. And I don't think running Y stick 15 times a game is overly sufficient. But hey, it worked. It won you a Super Bowl. But yeah, like I don't like it. This is an F for me. I would have rather just stuck with Tomlin. I know you wanted new fresh air, but this is a downgrade to me. I think the game has kind of passed this man by. I think he was a solid coach back in the late 2000s and early 2010s until about 2013, 2012ish, but it doesn't do it for me. Gonna be a no for me, dog.
Yeah, no, me neither. I give it an F as well. And if it's to make Aaron Rodgers stay and play one more year, then I give it an F minus because we're just not progressing or moving forward.
Yeah, it's you know, it is what it is. We will stay, Dave, in the AFC with the Buffalo Bills moving on to Joe Brady as their new head coach. Dave, this kind of reeks of we have a really good offensive mind who very well was actually a top candidate for other teams, and we had to fire McDermott to bring him in. I think that firing makes a little more sense now. Joe Brady now at the helm and will have his way as he has done a great job running that offense with not a lot of options. Let's see if he can run an NFL franchise now.
This is another one where I don't really understand what is going to change. Just as I was critical about the Ravens, I'm going to be critical about the Bills. So, okay, you fire your head coach, you promote from within. He's probably going to retain most of that staff. What really changes here in Buffalo? Your offense is still going to be flying high. Your defense is still a big question mark. Unless you bring in some god tier defensive coordinator, I just don't see.
Well, they did bring in Jim Leonard, who's really good.
Sure.
So,
So maybe, but unless they can get the personnel to fixed on the defensive side as well, I just think this is another one of banging your head on the wall with the same head and hoping that things change. I don't like it. I'm giving this one probably a C minus, a D even.
yeah, I kind of agree with you because I do think the issues of this team are personnel based. I don't think they're coaching based, right? The only reason I can see this as having to happen is if you knew he was going to leave and get a head coaching job elsewhere, which is quite possible. Um, I still don't think they should have fired McDermott. I will kind of take that to my grave with me. That was a poor choice, even though I don't care about the Bills at all. I just think bad practice. I think he's a great coach who elevates his team every year. So I'm gonna give it a C plus because I don't think you made a massive downgrade, and the fact you brought Jim Leonard, former New York Jets safety, and he was at Wisconsin for years, and I really like what he does defensively. So it's going to be very different than what McDermott did. McDermott more of a rush forward guy, Leonard more of a simulated pressure, switches up his coverage as much as McDermott as well. So I do think that is a good hire, and because of that, I'll give it a C plus. Again, not a wow hire for me, and I don't like the process of how you got there, but I don't think Brady is going to be in over his head. But again, here's another first time head coach.
How would you have felt if they brought in Brian Dable? Would this change? And they still bring in Jim Leonard. What would you?
Well, I mean, like, I think I'd be more mad
Oh,
because I think it's been shown Dable isn't a great head coach.
Coach of the Year?
Yeah. So is Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next point. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and like, to be honest, Dave, I know he's a good offensive mind, but I think the fact that Daniel Jones was just horrific after that first year for him and then goes to the Colts and is very good with Shane Steichen before getting hurt, I think that speaks volumes too. That maybe Dable has some work to do in getting back to where he was years ago as a coach. And I think he can get there because I think he is innovative and I really like his designs typically, but I don't know.
No,
I
that's
don't
fair.
know. Yeah. We'll go now to another first time head coach. Lots of first time head coaches here. Go to Arizona. Mike LaFleur, hired and will be joined by offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett, who I thought at one point was quite the offensive coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars, who made Blake Bortles look okay, helping the team get to the AFC Championship and actually getting up big over your Patriots at one point in that game.
There we go.
Won't talk about how that finished, but what do we think of the LaFleur hire here, Dave?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. This is another guy that I kind of feel like you're elevating. You're elevating a guy two different spots up, right? I like his pedigree that he has a good name, right? He is a good NFL name pedigree. He's worked with two of the best offensive minds under Shanahan for quite a few years, under McVay as well. So I mean, he's probably got some knowledge in there. I am afraid to comp this to Zach Robinson, who was in a very similar type role and then went to BOC in Atlanta, and we saw how that worked out. I think if it weren't for his name and if it weren't for the fact that he worked under two great offensive minds, I don't think he's here. I worry about this one, if I'm being honest. I kind of give this one a D as well. Obviously, I prefer this over the Mike McCarthy's of the world and the Kevin Stefanski's of the world. But nothing about his resume really screams to me that this is going to be the guy to get Arizona back on track.
Yeah, and interesting. He was the OC with the Jets, as well as the Rams the last 2 years, but he was the OC of the Jets from 2021 to 2022. So he's really only had that time as a play caller as well. He did not have exactly adequate conditions, let's say, to really showcase that ability. And then obviously in with the Rams, McVay's the play caller, right? So you don't even have that opportunity. You probably learn a lot under that guy, though. So will be interesting to see what the offense looks like, how they're going to delegate duties, if LaFleur is going to call it, if Hackett's going to call it. Last time Hackett was an OC with Denver / head coach, that was a little bit of a disaster, but I don't know. Again, yeah, here's another one, Dave. This is kind of a common theme. I don't know. Like, this isn't, it seems like a lot of the first time head coaches that are occurring here in this cycle, it's not a wow, I'm really excited. Like McVay came in, here's this young up and comer, excellent play caller. This is exciting. This is kind of like a I don't know what's going to happen, good or bad.
Yeah.
I can't tell you.
Yeah. I feel like we're trying to get the Ben Johnson experience here, but with guys who don't deserve it or don't have that resume. You know what I mean? We're trying to force a square.
Yeah, this is almost it's almost like post McVay when teams started hiring the um what's his name?
Name a guy.
We always used to talk about him. Tight pants all the time. OC for the car or head coach for the car, Kingsbury.
Yeah,
It's like the Kingsbury, et cetera, guys that kept getting hired and were not Sean McVay, right? So almost like we're now in the Ben Johnson phase of things where teams, franchises are trying to do the same thing. It's almost like history has repeated itself again, as it does very often in the world in general, not just in football. Now, Dave, we'll go to the NFC for perhaps, well, a former NFC coach, let's say, now going to the AFC. Clint Kubiak. This is the one where maybe you are excited. I know you're a big fan of what Clint Kubiak does. You even were with New Orleans before Seattle for the first, I think, 6 weeks of that season he was there. What are we thinking about this hire?
So this is the one that's more similar to Ben Johnson. I think it in that kind of mold. I don't think he's quite at that level. I think this is probably too soon for him to get a shot. But I love what he does. I love watching his offense in New Orleans, despite how I think personnel kind of limited him. And then we see what he can do with good talent. A QB that you were kind of like, okay, we'll see what he can do as like the guy. And he did a great job with Sam Darnold. His career is completely turned around. And now we'll see what he can do if he gets to build his team from scratch, because that's basically what he's going to have to do. But I think if you're Tom Brady and that ownership, this is probably the best guy that you could have gone out and got. And I said this in a previous podcast that if you're Vegas or an LA team, I hate to say this, but like West Coast teams especially, they need to have electric offenses. That just seems to be what sells in the West, and especially Vegas. Like it's an event. People will go to Vegas Raiders games just because you're in Vegas. Let's go to a Raiders game. And if you want to sell merch, you want to sell tickets, you need to have a good product on the field. And Kubiak is probably your best bet for that right now. So I give this hire like a B plus, honestly, maybe an A minus.
Yeah, I'd say A minus. I think this is probably the best hire of the whole cycle. I think, yeah, I would say this is probably the best one. Just trying to think here. Yeah, and we didn't really talk about Todd Monken there. I think that's a pretty meh hire as well. Yeah, I think that's probably the best hire of this whole cycle. So I'll give it an A minus. I think you got the best guy available, and see if the Raiders, Dave, can get back to just winning. As Al Davis used to say, and speaking of Clint Kubiak, he's trying to do that next week. This upcoming Sunday here in the Super Bowl, Dave. We'll do our Super Bowl preview here. Seahawks, Patriots. Now, you're a Patriots fan. I will say this. It's not the fault of the Patriots, but it feels like this might have been one of the easiest runs to the Super Bowl that we've seen in recent memory. Obviously, you play against the Texans, who have a great defense, yes, but their quarterback implodes in the divisional round. And then, again, you have no control over this, but you're going against a backup quarterback, weird weather conditions against the Broncos. You pull through. Are you worried about perhaps the lack of competition this Patriots team has had going into this game against the Seahawks? And the Seahawks have taken down some pretty darn good teams down the stretch here, including the Rams. What do you think about this matchup? Who do you think has the edge?
I mean, I'm going to start by saying I don't want to say I'm worried, but Seattle's a very good team and they're very well coached, and I think they do have the edge. On the flip side, and I don't want to say the homer side, bad teams don't go 14-3. Even if you have a cupcake schedule, bad teams don't go 14-3. Bad teams don't make it to the Super Bowl. Bad teams don't do what they've been doing, right? And I'm kind of drawing parallels to the 2001 Super Bowl where they go and they play the greatest show on turf and they can still win it. So like I'm not counting them out. Bad teams don't make it this far. Our offense has been sputtering. Unfortunately, Drake May has not looked as great, his MVP type self, but he's also had like 3 very bad weather games in the playoffs. I'm not worried, or I'm not scared. I'm concerned, but I think every fan who goes to the Super Bowl is concerned because there is a very real chance that Seattle wins it. I think they're 2 very well coached teams. I just think that Seattle has just better personnel. I think the cupcake schedule thing is blown way out of proportion, though.
Yeah. 2 bad weather games, Dave, not 3. Come on, don't give him an extra one.
I'm gonna give him an extra.
They only played 2. Yeah, Dave, I don't think there's any question if the Patriots are a good team. They're definitely not a bad team. I think the question is, are they a great team? Because good teams don't win Super Bowls, great teams do. So I think that's the question. Now, I will say there's a lot of distractions with the Seahawks right now. Your offensive coordinator is leaving for a brand new job. The team is apparently going to be put up for sale at the start or right after the Super Bowl game. Lots of distractions around the franchise. I feel like Mike Macdonald will do a good job kind of redirecting his team and not allowing them to those distractions to affect them as much as they probably could. But in the world we live in now with prevalent social media and everything like that, really hard to avoid those kinds of things unless you just totally don't have social media at all. And that's not the reality, I think, with especially the next generation of player coming up. So I do wonder if any of that will maybe be a slight distraction to the Seahawks. But to be honest, Dave, like I think the Patriots are gonna be pretty hard pressed to win this one. I think the Seahawks are they're more ready. And I think they're more talented on both sides of the ball. I do think Drake May is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold, but the defenses are very comparable schematically. But I think talent wise, I do have the edge in Seattle, especially their secondary. Not that the Patriots secondary is bad at all; they're actually quite good. But and that pass rush is a lot better. While the Patriots have to kind of orchestrate their pass rush by design, Seahawks guys just get there, and McDonald is a great designer as well. So I'm going to give the edge to the Seahawks here, Dave. I think if I had to predict a score here, I'm going to say Seahawks win. I'm going to say 27-21. I think it's going to be close, but I think the Seahawks are going to have just enough to pull away here. What do you think score-wise you would predict?
Yeah, I'm predicting a repeat of the Rams-Patriots game, just kind of flipped. Like if this game ended 13-10, 17-14, that wouldn't surprise me. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be kind of boring. And I lean towards Seattle as well being on top of that 17-14 game. But I wouldn't be shocked if the Patriots find a way to win. That's just what they do. That's what they've done all year. Find a way to win in the second half.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if it went either way. I think the Seahawks should have the edge in this one. Yeah. But we'll kind of go back in time here, Dave. Moving on from this, we'll go back to an old Patriots legend. In my opinion,
back time. You're back to find a way.
Oh boy. We'll go back to, I think, personally the greatest head coach in NFL history, Bill Belichick, for our What's Wrong with segment. What the hell is wrong with NFL Hall of Fame voters? If you are living under a rock, I think everyone's aware of this that probably listens to our podcast, but Bill Belichick not voted into the Hall of Fame as a first time ballot um, goer here. How does this guy not get in, Dave? I'll let you go first as the Patriots fan, and then I will come back with a more less biased opinion.
How dare you?
You go first.
How dare you? I just set my bias aside and said Seattle's probably winning the Super Bowl, but question my integrity. So I could rant for like 2 hours about Hall of Fames and how I think that they're just in their totality kind of bullshit. I don't like that we have to have a set number of things. I think if you're going to have a big Hall of Fame and if everyone deserves it, like a big Hall of Fame class, let everyone in. I don't care. But then there also should be years where you're like, none of these guys fucking deserve it. So then you don't let anyone in. I don't care. Just pick the people who should be in. And so much has been said about why Bill should be in. Like, he has the resume of 4 different Hall of Fame head coaches rolled into one, right? And and the fact that, you can bring up like the scandals, the gates, the multiple gates that have happened, the fact that he was mean to the media. I don't care. Okay, we're here. He still won 8 Super Bowls, 6 as a head coach, second most all-time wins, first time almost playoff wins. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are you doing? I can't appreciate the Hall of Fame committee's like, you're right, this is bullshit, and we're going to start firing some people. Because what are we doing? If we can't let in the greatest head coach of all time, then why? And some people have given them the grace that they want to do Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and Robert Kraft all in the same thing. I don't like that either. I think each one deserves their day. Tom Brady, if you let all 3 in at the same time, the Tom Brady of it all is just going to over encompass the other 2. They each deserve their moment in the sun. It's dumb. It's stupid. It makes me mad.
Yep.
You go ahead.
So I'm going to come at this from a perspective of there is no team in sports that I've ever hated more than the 2010s New England Patriots. Could not stand them. Every time they won, I was cheering against them. I absolutely despised Tom Brady. I just hated that organization. Absolutely hated.
And I'm the biased one. I'm the
So
biased one.
no. Hold on. So this is coming from me. I also I'm also a big hockey fan. Me and Dave's favorite team lost a heartbreaking Game 7 to a certain franchise who our fans absolutely despise. Actually, from the same area, funnily enough. I hate the Patriots 10 times more, and they only ever affected one of my teams once, as I am a Jaguars fan. But before that, I hated them just as much. They didn't even add. Like, I've just always hated them. Bill Belichick not getting in is an absolute travesty. First ballot. He is the greatest coach of all time. Everyone, the bullshit about, oh, Tom Brady carried him. Did you start watching football in 2017? What the fuck is, like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, Brady's first 3 Super Bowl wins, look at the stats, watch the film. It was the defense and Belichick's brilliance. It wasn't Brady. He was a game manager. And if you think that's ridiculous, watch the fucking film. Like, it's not a debate. Brady was fine and he was very clutch. So, yeah, he made some clutch plays. That defense in 2001 holding the Rams to what was it? How many? It was under, there's like what, 3 scores or something like that? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was 20-ish points.
Yeah. Insane at that time. That offense was absolutely unstoppable and was looking to get their second Super Bowl in a matter of a couple years, right? Then
points.
there was then there's the Eagles game where the Patriots picked off Donovan McNabb like 3 different times at least. And Tom Brady also turned the ball over as many times. He was not good in that game at all. That was the defense winning that game. And the season, like, no. And yeah, just that's a whole thing in and out of itself. I think anyone who voted against Belichick should automatically lose their vote and should be unable to ever vote again. I don't want to see single select people kicked out. Every single member of the media or whatever who did not vote for him should not have a vote, and there needs to be a new class. As far as like, oh, Belichick was shitty to the media. Okay, when you're a media member, I went to journalism school. The number one thing they teach you is you have to be unbiased and put your feelings at the door. I don't care if he mother effed you every single day and said you sucked as a reporter. His greatness is undeniable. I absolutely hate their organization. Not as much anymore. I think they're a lot less obnoxious now. But I hated that dynasty. People who thought the Chiefs dynasty was terrible and are complaining about Taylor Swift and all of that stuff. Patriots were 10 times worse. Okay? Way worse to watch, in my opinion. I don't like the Chiefs either. But anyway, I digress. That guy deserves to be in. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. So is Tom Brady, for that matter, as much as I just diminished his first couple Super Bowls. Because after that point, he was unreal. Um, it's just stupid. Like, you can't let personal feelings get in the way of what's right in the business of media, right? It's your job as a journalist to be impartial, be a grown up, don't be a cowardly little child being vindictive because some guy was it mean to you when you asked him questions. I know that sucks sometimes, but like, you need to put that aside. And as far as certain former NFL execs that have allegedly been very adamant about the cheating scandals, everyone used to steal signals. The Patriots did it to a little bit of a higher degree and got caught. Okay, whatever. Again, coming from someone who hates the Patriots, Deflategate is the most ridiculous shit ever. Like, the starting middle linebacker of the Colts in that game, DeQuell Jackson, came out and said it doesn't matter. They ran the ball 30 times for like 220 yards against us.
Jonah
The balls
Gray
could
of
have
all
been,
people.
yeah, yeah. It doesn't matter. And actually, in that game, if you watch, Tom Brady, because the ball is underinflated, people that have played quarterback before understand that when the ball is deflated as much as it apparently was or was found to be, um, you underthrow balls. And if you look at it, Brady underthrows a ton of footballs in that game that could have been touchdowns that are only first downs, right? So I actually think it deterred them a little bit, to be honest. But we don't need to get into that. You cannot hold that against this guy. He is unquestionably the best coach of all time. Brady did not carry him. He carried Brady, and then I think they were even in how they won championships. And you're hating on greatness for no reason because you're being a child with no emotional control and you're jealous.
At best, you're being a contrarian for contrarian's sake, and at worst, you're a whiny little child. I agree. It's it
Yeah.
it lose the Hall of Fame just loses all credibility at this point. The NFL loses credibility, and good luck building it back because I think a lot of people have just like washed their hands of what that means now.
Yep. And it used to be held in such high regard, but it's really like this has really lost the credibility. And Dave, speaking of a loss of credibility, we're going to go to breaking the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Dave,
Okay.
when did the Pro Bowl become such a joke? I think if you started watching football in the 20 like from 20 like 18 onwards, maybe a little bit before that, Pro Bowl is just kind of a joke. It didn't used to be that way. It used to mean something. Um, I mean, Dave, like, well, I'll ask you, like, what do you think has kind of happened, and how do you get it back to what it used to be? It used to be this great honor to make a Pro Bowl, and it was hard to do. It was difficult. It was a thing that you would put as an incentive on your contracts. But now guys like Shador Sanders are making it as a Pro Bowl alternate, a dude with a negative touchdown to interception ratio who started, what, like
Six.
less than, yeah, like 6 games
Yeah.
this year. What are we doing?
I don't know. Like you kind of brought it up I'll say 2015 even. The game used to mean something. I remember back in like 2003, aged me a lot there. Oh, used to be a event, right? Like everyone would tune in for the stupid skills competition and enjoy watching it, and then the Pro Bowl game itself, people would tune in and watch it. And now it's just a joke. And I think switching to flag football is kind of part of it. But when you have Justin Fields, of all people, declining to play in it, like, I think this isn't just an NFL issue. I think this is an every sport issue where their all star games are just kind of irrelevant, garbage. Nobody wants to watch it. Guys are dogging it. I saw a clip of the NHL skills competition that just happened a couple of weeks ago, where a guy just f- fucked all the skills competition and all of his little drills because he just didn't want to be there in like this quiet protest. So it's not just football. I think that's a very real thing in pro sports of how do we make our all star games relevant. And I'm not sure how you get there. I think baseball is probably the most watched all star game at this point, or at least the home run derby is. At least that's an event that people still tune in and watch for God knows what reason. But I don't know how we get back there, honestly. I think we need to go back for it being tackled, but I don't think the Players Association or players in general want to do that. But I'm not sure how we get back there, no.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a baseball guy, Dave, but I'm gonna push back on the home run derby thing. I could watch guys just hit bombs all day long, like very satisfying to
Sure,
watch.
totally. But like
Yeah,
that's the keynote all star event out of the like 5 professional sports
yeah,
leagues we have, right? It's just watching guys hit
yeah,
bombs.
yeah. I mean, hell yeah, dude. I wish I could hit like that. Can you imagine?
Yeah. I'm no fun
Um,
at parties, Nick. I'm sorry.
yeah, it's unfortunate to see. Like, I remember growing up, it was this massive thing. I remember players used to try in the games. They would actually tackle each other, and I think players of like even around the late 2000s, like everyone reminds or remembers that massive hit by Sean Taylor on I think it was Brian Mortman, the Bills punter. Forgive me. Uh, I think things like that stopped happening, which I think is good. I don't think they should kill each other. I think, especially with increased games, which we didn't talk about today. We were going to, but we glossed over it. Additional games and the NFL wanting to push another game with 18. I think that's kind of taking away from it too. But there's got to be there's got to be like a happy spot that we can find where the players aren't getting injured, but it's still competitive. And maybe flag football isn't the worst idea anymore, but maybe there's like a hybrid we could find. I don't know. Like, it's just, it's tough. It's tough. And like, I don't watch it anymore. Do you? Like, I don't turn it on. I don't care at all. Um,
No, I haven't
sometimes I'll like watch.
since Jeff Saturday or Peyton Manning switched teams so they could take one more snap together. I think that was the last Pro Bowl I watched.
Right. That was a while ago too. That was like 2013, 14. Yeah, like I like that they brought the skills comp back. I think that's a good addition, and I think that's kind of fun. I'll like watch the highlights of that sometimes. I haven't yet this year, but I have in years past. I think that's a nice addition, but they got to find a way to make it more marketable, more and like more competitive and have fun. And I don't know what that is. That's why I don't get paid to do it. But what I do know is there's a problem, and it's not taken seriously anymore. And one thing I will stick my nose out on is that you cannot give Pro Bowl alternates to players that have played 6 games. And I'm not trying to pick on Shadur Sanders. If I was offered that off the couch for no reason, I would take it, even if I didn't deserve it. I get it. But like that can't happen. It just can't.
No, it's not Sanders' fault.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. But I think more of the big issue is that it got to the point where he was offered because players don't take it seriously anymore and so many people declined.
Yeah.
Which is a problem.
And we're not saying we have a solution, like you said. We just know we're identifying the problem. It's a tough problem to solve. I don't envy the league for having to try and fix this if they even want to fix it. I'm not sure that it's on the top of their priority list right now.
No, probably not, and nor should it, to be completely honest. Before we get out of here, Dave, we will get to the 18 game schedule and the NFLPA pushing back on Goodell's comments, saying that they are definitely wanting to have an 18th game of the season. We'll end on that. What do you think of that? Do you think, I know we've talked about this a little bit, especially with the Thursday night games and stuff, but do you think an additional game to a season is necessary or is even fathomable at this point?
Necessary? No. But I mean, pro sports isn't even necessary, right? Like, we don't need to go through society with pro sports. It's entertainment. Um, I do this way too often, but I'm going to do it again. Like the CFL has an 18 game schedule. You know, you cut down one preseason game. I think you only need two, since preseason's irrelevant anyways at this point with all the restrictions you have in training camp and stuff. Let's get the show on the road. I think if the owners want it, they're going to get it. They're the ones who pay the bills. They'll do some sort of compromising with the PA, give them like a little taste of what the PA actually wants, but they'll get their 18 game schedule. So it's very fathomable. I think it's only a matter of time. I give it 2 years maybe at best, but I think it's going to happen, and both players and fans alike are just going to have to accept that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. In the CFL, though, with that, you get multiple buys.
Sure.
Um,
Well, that's because
so I think
that has more to do with the fact that there's an odd number of teams.
that is true, but I also think that that's why they've been able to do it for so long.
Mm.
Um, I think if the NFL does that, you need to have multiple buys, number one. And I think you need to get rid of Thursday night football. I think it makes for a poor product. I know we've talked about this before, and there was that one great Thursday night game right after we talked about it. So, um, but other than like, it makes for a worse product 9 times out of 10. Um,
Oh,
it's
I'm dead.
also player injuries are up, right? Like, think about this. Like, Joe Burrow hurt for the majority of this season. Lamar Jackson hurt for the majority of this season. You're seeing all of these stars go down. An additional game's not going to help with that. And for these owners that are pushing these narratives that are very protective of their players, you're doing them a disservice, frankly, unless you're going to put proper measures in to protect them, like eliminating Thursday night football or having an additional buy, which I don't know, that could be in the works. I'm not like, I have no idea, right? So maybe I'm off base here, but you need to protect your players, and you're making a worse product, not just with Thursday night football, with adding an additional game. With injuries, because we're going to see a lot more backup quarterbacks playing. You're going to see a lot of star players get hurt, and you're down to second and third strings at different positions. Um, and you don't want to see that as a consumer. You definitely shouldn't want that as a member of a franchise. And you like, the players don't want to see that either, and they shouldn't have to go through that, in my opinion. So I think it's ridiculous. I really do think that they need to listen to the players a little bit more. The players are what shapes the game. It's not it's not anyone else. It, like, if there's no players, there's no league, right? You need to do a better job listening to them and protecting them. For It's a physical game, takes tolls on your body, and you sign up for that, yes, and you get paid a lot, but also you can prolong players' careers by protecting them a little bit more and make for a better product on the field, which is, in my opinion, a win-win.
I'd agree. Ethically, basically, with everything you're saying, let's listen to the working class. You know, workers come first. But being a realist, I think the NFL owners have gotten everything they ever wanted all the time, and I think they're just going to get it again, and it's just accepted at this point. My pushback for multiple bye weeks, as much as I agree, in theory, that will help more with a lot of things. The NFL season already goes into February, right? And we're already seeing terrible weather games. It's only going to get worse if we add in multiple bye weeks and we're pushing the games back into, maybe it just comes full circle, and come March, if we push it into April, you know, God forbid, then it swings back into spring and the games start being better weather by the end. But that's going to add a lot more football for these guys, and I'm not sure they're going to want that either. So I think there's a big question mark as to what's the right ethical way to go about it.
Yeah, I think maybe eliminating a preseason game,
I just don't think that does
additional bye
anything.
week would maybe, yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. Just want to stop seeing star quarterbacks get hurt so much, but what are you going to do? Let's just throw in an extra game.
Well,
Why not?
maybe if teams were better at developing quarterbacks, that would help. League has a QB problem.
Yeah, that's true. It'd also help if coaches didn't get fired after one season, but so many issues. People want results now. Nowadays, they don't want to wait.
No. Mike Vrabel turned it around in 1 year. You turned it around in 1 year.
They also spent a shit ton in free agency, and Vrabel should not have been fired from his last stop, in my opinion. But
no, but we're happy he was. I'm happy he was.
I mean, I'm a Jags fan too, right? So I don't have to see him twice a year now, so I'm pretty happy too.
Sure. Yeah. There's an easy 2 wins.
I mean, they did just get Robert Saleh, so it'll be hard, but yeah. Anything else to add, Dave?
Nope. I am excited for the Super Bowl. I wish I could watch it. It's closing night for my show, so I don't even get to tune in, which breaks my stupid little heart, but
oh no, I didn't know that.
I know. I'm very upset. I'm gonna be backstage just.
Well, I'll have lots of time to watch it, so I'm excited to watch. I'll text you updates.
Won't have my phone anyways. I'm not gonna get them.
Yeah, that's fair. But guys, we will join you. I promise. I'm not going on another trip again, as long as Dave doesn't do the same. We will be back on Monday to discuss the results of that game and lead into the off season, which is always crazy. But until that time, we're going to say goodbye for now. Again, I'm Nicholas Hauka here with David Hollinshead. Thank you for listening to the Film Grinders podcast, and we will be back next time. Thanks for watching, guys.